Hi there, my name's Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to talk about using the most common effects with your acoustic guitar when you're plugged into a PA system. Now I know that a lot of acoustic players like to plug straight into a good quality PA system or acoustic amp and just play. For them, the whole idea of an acoustic guitar is simplicity. And they don't want to mess around with effects the way that electric guitar players do. Having said that though, there's a lot of players now that are using effects. It's become a really big thing. Look at people like Ed Sheeran. He uses a loop pedal as a part of his act. And then people like Tommy Emmanuel use cavernous reverbs to create soundscapes and everything in between. Acoustic players like to use effects pedals. I use several different multi-effects pedals. I like the convenience of them. But I also like to have a small pedal board where I can mix and match different pedals. So today I'm going to be focusing on the Fishman AFX series. This really covers all of the main effects you'll want to use for acoustic guitar, at least to begin with. And then the great thing about these is they are all mini pedals. So you could get a very small pedal board and just use 2 or 3 of these to make a very simple rig. Or you could buy all of these and use them together. And there's some interesting routing options as well that I'll cover at the end of the video. And the real great thing about these mini pedals is you can also mix and match them with other pedals. Or if you're like me and you do use multi-effects pedals, you can also add them to that as well. If there's something here that you really love and it does it better than your current multi-effects device, you can add it to that. So mini pedals are all the rage right now for that reason. They're also more affordable because they're mini. So they're affordable, you can mix and match them, and they're compact. There are a couple of downsides with certain effects, and I will cover that in the video as well. But this video is really to show you this range of pedals that have been sent to me by Fishman, and also to show you what these effects can sound like and how they can enhance your acoustic guitar shows. So in order to demonstrate this today, I'm going to do a close-up of the pedals, and just so you know, I'll be using this Marden HDC Dreadnought guitar with the Fishman Rare Earth Blend pickup in the sound hole. This is a magnetic sound hole pickup with a microphone as well. I'll be running a 50-50 blend. That means you're getting equal magnetic pickup and microphone in the signal. It's a very good system, and I have reviewed this in its own video on my channel, so I'll link that below. And while I'm talking about that, if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. But now let's get started. I'll go through these pedals. I'll tell you how I would use each one and some things to be aware of when you're using them. For your convenience, I'll also put timestamps below in case you want to jump around between the different pedals. All right, let's get started. All right, let's start with the most commonly used effect for acoustic guitar, the reverb effect. This is the Acoustic, and this will make you sound like you're playing in a large room, like a hall or a concert room, something like that. I think reverb is very important because without reverb, the sound is very dry and immediate, and that can be useful, but at the same time, it's not usually very inspiring. If you've ever played guitar in your bathroom, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you also might say to me, well, I have reverb on my mixing console. Yes, that's a good point. Now, something to consider here is that you could use the reverb in moderation on the console at all times, just to set the overall mood. And then you could use this pedal on top of that. Say if you're doing fingerpicking or a lead passage, you can have more reverb at the press of a button here, just when you need it. That's a great way to use a reverb pedal. But I would encourage you to use something like this, a high quality reverb on a board at all times, so you don't have to rely on the PA system. What if you go to an open mic or something and the reverb is no good? You can just ask them to turn the reverbs off and just use this on at all times. So when the light is illuminated, it's on, and obviously when it's off, it's off. So I would leave this on at all times, dial it in just how you want it, and use this at your shows. Don't rely on the front of house reverb. Sorry to all you front of house people out there. Let's see what the effect sounds like. So here's the reverb off, going straight in. When I stop playing, it just stops dead. Now, if I had the reverb turned on, it would sound like this. It's a very nice sounding reverb. We've got 3 different options and some controls over it as well. So let's go through those first of all. So I'll put everything to 50%. We have level, which is how loud the effect is, the tone, which is how bright the effect is, not the guitar, the effect, the reverb, and the decay time, which is how long it lasts for. And then 3 types. The easiest way to show you the types is just to demo them. Spring, hall, and plate. I tend to use plate and hall on acoustic and spring on electric. Hey, there's no reason why you can't use these pedals on your electric guitars as well. So let me just give you a quick demo of each effect and I'll show you what my favorite sound is. You can see what effect I'm on at the top there. The first one will be the spring. So that's basically how I always dial in a reverb effect. I really like plate or hall. The spring for me is not something I'd use. That's really for electric guitar or maybe lead passage. It's usually used on kind of surf music. So that's just not what I play. But I'm glad they've included it because like I said, you can also use this on electric guitar as well. So I always dial in reverb like this. I always set the level low and the decay time long because I want it to be behind the guitar to not interfere with my sound, but to extend that sustain into the distance a little bit as well. So I love those settings pretty much on every reverb effect that I've ever used. The tone, well, that's subjective. I would play that and then just have someone turn that and listen, and whatever tone you prefer, leave it there. 50% is good on here. I might be inclined to reduce it slightly just to help reduce the effect of that reverb. For what I play, I don't want the reverb to overtake from the guitar sound. Remember, acoustic guitar, I do agree with those people that say we want to listen to the guitar. We spend a lot of time looking for a great acoustic guitar and installing a great pickup system. So we're not looking to radically change the sound of our acoustic. We're looking to enhance it. So like with sugar in your coffee, you should only use a small amount. Actually, there are times when you use extra, but we won't go into that today. That is the Acoustiverb reverb pedal. I think it's a great algorithm in there, and I love the options, and this gets a big thumbs up from me. I think if you don't have a good quality reverb on your pedal board for your acoustic guitar, you should check these out. I will put the links below for more information and to purchase these as well. And the great thing, as I said at the start of the video with the mini pedals, is that they are also affordable. But it's a good time also to talk about other things like the build quality. This is all metal, in case you were wondering. You can see here the enclosure is metal, and I'll also show you what's on top as well. You have some options here that are very important for many players. You have true bypass or buffered bypass. Now, many players, especially acoustic players, insist that their pedals are true bypass. What that means is the sound goes in the pedal and out the other side when it's turned off. So when your effect is turned off, you're effectively cutting out the pedal and going straight through it with the cable. The buffer obviously employs a buffer. Some people with certain pickups want to buffer the signal, so that will do that for you. It's also worth mentioning with certain effects, like with a looper. If a looper is true bypass, you can hear pops and clicks because that's just the nature of true bypass. So it's great here that I've given you the option of either. We also have tip and ring. So these pedals actually send two signals through them, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video, how you can route these pedals. And if you look at the back, again, metal, nowhere for a battery, of course. They're too small for that. But metal, very well made. They're very good quality. I think that's very important too, because you'll be taking these out on the road with you. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is the Pro EQ Mini. I am a huge fan of EQ, and this pedal can be used in several different ways. First of all, you want to set the input trim. This is your gain control, and all acoustic guitar pickups have different amounts of gain. Some have more than others, but it's very important to set that gain at an optimum level. Many people do not gain stage their guitars correctly at gigs, and I will talk about this more in future videos, so do subscribe if you're interested in this stuff. Let me show you how I would do this. So with your guitar volume at maximum, turn it on and turn that input trim until it clips. So check this out. So it's flashing yellow, so that's clipping. All right, if I bring it down. So many people don't do this at your absolute loudest strumming volume. On a regular mixer, you would get that red and then back it off. You don't want it to be red all the time. That sounds horrible, but you want to get a healthy level. So on this one, if you have it sound too low, it won't light up at all. So your signal's probably on the weak side. It doesn't show you exactly where it's at, unfortunately, but you can tell enough by turning it up until it goes yellow. There we go. So it flashed yellow. So then I'll back it off just to make sure it doesn't go yellow. Remember, I am playing really hard, like much harder than I would play in an actual gig. So be aware of that too. But that's a great level now. It's brought the level up, and I can see my level is a bit hotter than it was when I started recording the video, so it's doing its job. Then you have a level control of the actual overall EQ. So now I'll turn it on. And now I'm going to set that level for the input of my audio interface or your PA system, so that is also at its optimum level and not clipping. So the pedal has definitely added gain, which is a good thing. It's going to help us out when we're doing our gig. Another way to use this, when we turn it off, we're going straight through. When we turn it on, we can set that level so those two volumes are the same. But then we can increase the level, and we can now use it as a volume boost. So we could have the pedal off and have our strumming volume. When we turn it on, we can take a solo because it's louder without it. But you can use this as a volume boost. And of course, you can also, as you boost the volume, play with your EQ. You might want less treble, so you have a more of a dull sound when you take your solo. I'm not sure why you would do that, but I'm just giving you an example. So that's another way you can use this. But the way I would probably use it is just as a tone shaping device. Like with the Reverb, I would want to use this to shape my overall tone when I go from venue to venue. I would leave it on at all times. I would leave that level at what is probably unity, so it's the same on as it is off. And I would put everything to 50%. And now what I'll do is I'll turn off my vocal microphone and play through and raise and boost each of these frequencies. So we've got brilliance, which is like a presence, very high treble frequencies, treble, middle, bass, and the low cut. Low cut is so useful. That will just basically shelf off everything below a certain range. And you can find these exact specifications of what each frequency is on each band in the user guide for the AFX pedal. Let me do that demo for you now. You'll hear it. You'll hear what each slider is doing. And at the end, I'll just shape the overall tone to what I think is a pleasing sound. So that is the best way to learn how to use EQ. Run a loop or have a friend play your guitar and just boost and cut each frequency to its maximum range. You'll hear it. So you could hear that low cut really shelved off all those low frequencies on a boomy pickup. That's a lifesaver. You could hear the bass was adding all that low energy, which you probably don't want too much of. You got to be very careful with the EQ. You can really ruin your sound and also really improve your sound. This pickup system sounds very good, just straight in. So I don't think it needs that much help. Some pickups need a lot of help, and that's where something like this comes in. You could really hear that treble as well. That was very obvious. The brilliance was subtle on this pickup, but that's fine too. Like I said, if you find your system is so great going straight in that you don't need this EQ, your tone is amazing straight out off the bat, then use it as a solo boost, because everyone needs a clean solo boost, especially one with EQ built in as well. That's a great option. And if you've got another guitar where it's just all boom and mud, then you can low cut out some bass and add some treble. This is a really powerful pedal. People think EQ is a boring pedal, but EQ can make or break the whole gig. And this is something that you definitely want to have on your board. The advantage of the bigger EQ pedals is they can have what we call parametric EQ. We can select specific frequencies and boost and cut those. Some of them have 10 or 20 of those bands, and you can really shape your tone and you can really fix problematic pickups. But that's also a lot of work as well. And remember, these are mini pedals. These are not going to have 20 bands of EQ on them. I think it's amazing they could put a low cut, a bass, a middle, a treble, and a brilliance on here. And you can use that as your solo boost or as your kind of global EQ. So if you've got a great sounding pickup, this will really help you just shape it for the room. And if your pickup sounds fine without it, like I said, use it as your clean solo boost. So this is a great one. And it also has those same selectors on the back as well. That's what I was talking about earlier, by the way. When it's on true bypass and you turn these pedals on and off, you hear a slight popping sound. That is what happens with true bypass pedals. And a lot of people swear by true bypass, but that can be the problem. Yes, when you turn them off, your signal's going straight through in a clean fashion, but you also hear the pedal turning off. So what's more important to you? I guess to those people, the straight through signal is more important. But sometimes if you're using this as a volume boost and turning it on and off all night long, you don't want to hear that pop sound, even though it's very subtle. So you have the choice. You have to decide which one works best for you. But just bear that in mind. That is not the thing with these pedals. It's just the way all true bypass pedals operate. All right, let's move on to the next one. Also, don't forget, I'm showing you these pedals one by one in isolation. You're going to put all these on the board together. And when you've got these pedals running into each other, that's when you'll get a really epic sound. I'm doing one by one to show you just how the pedal sounds by itself. Right, this one is called the Broken Record. This is a looper. The looper pedal is currently massive in the world of the acoustic guitarist. People often ask me what they should get to start with, and I usually say a 2-button looper, but then again, these are mini pedals. Many people want a single button looper as well. There's pros and cons to both. It would be nice if they could have found a way to add an optional foot switch for this one to make it a 2-button looper, but most loopers in this size only have a single button. So let me show you how it works. The level is the level of the loop. We're going to set it to looper. Sampler is where we can load in a sample, like a backing track or a sound effect. I'll show you that at the end, but you'll probably be using this as a looper. So the great thing with this is you could see I had a loop stored already from many months ago. So it actually remembers the last loop. If you write a cool song or something or a riff, it will remember it, which is really cool. Some loopers don't do that. So again, I'll cover how to loop in another video, but just to show you how this works, you hit the button on the one, you press it again on the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just realized this is a good 1-button looper because you can press on the and 1 at the end and it will stop. On some 1-button loopers, you have to just press the button as quick as you can twice to stop the loop. You can't do it to kind of a rhythm. On this one, check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So that's really nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. That's how you do it. Count like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And press on the and press on the 1 for your double stop. And it stops on the beat if you do it like that. If you press it while it's recorded, then you'll go into overdub mode. To delete, hold it down. So you do hear the start of the loop. That's the problem with all 1-button loopers. But if you're recording this and you press it again, this is a workaround. This is becoming more of a lesson on how to loop, I know, but a workaround for the fact that you have to press twice is if you record a loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so you've recorded that loop, 3, 4, and 1, and you've stopped it. When you're playing that loop for the last time, and you know it's the last time, and you're going to be deleting it, do the and 1, but keep it held down, and it will clear it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Hold. And it's gone. So that's how you do it. You can use a 1-button looper if you know what you're doing, if you plan ahead. So one more time, you're recording the loop. So I've got level at 50%. Some people want their loops a little bit lower. Some people want a bit higher. Great thing is you can adjust that on the fly. So I would leave it just under 50%. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you know you want to stop the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, and then you're back to playing again. You bring that loop in later on to take a solo. So, and you're thinking, right, I've done my epic solo. It's time to finish the song completely. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. It stops. You keep it held down and it clears it. You can see it's cleared and now you're ready to loop again. So it is possible, especially with a well-made looper like this, because some loopers don't work like that. Some loopers are not that well thought out in my experience. And you have to just press twice as quick as you can and cross your fingers. This one is very cool. So you can use this for performance as well as save space on your pedal board. Just to finish up that sampler thing, what you do is you plug into your computer with USB-C. I'm glad it's got USB-C because it is 2024. In the back here, there's a USB-C port. I'm going to plug it in. It's going to make noise because of, the grounding with a laptop and the USB-C cable. Ignore that if you hear any noise, but I'll drag a loop on to the sampler and I'll show you how you would use that at the end of your gig or during your performance. You actually have to download a piece of software to import loops onto this, and it allowed me to import this. So if you don't want to use it as a looper, you could just use it to do this. After every song, you can just... So, hey, the great thing with mini pedals is you can buy more than one. You could buy 2 of those EQ pedals, one as your EQ, one as your boost. You could buy 2 of these, one as a looper, one as a loop playback. There's only one looper at a time, remember that. And the difference between looper and sampler is the looper will keep playing that back over and over again. The sampler will play it once. So other loopers call that one shot. Basically, the sampler mode is that will play that once. Like with the applause, you don't want it to loop, obviously. You want to just hear that applause one time. If it was on looper mode, it will keep playing that. And you have to stop it. So that's the difference. So again, with sampler mode, if you record and loop your guitar and then hit play, it'll play it back one time. You may want that. You may not want it to be looping back all the time. It's really good. It's very well thought out. Any single button loop pedal has downsides because with loopers, the more buttons, the better, to be honest with you. But it also gets more complicated. So I really like the way they've thought this one through. They did a great job with this. Right, I thought this pedal was broken because the switch on the back was not set to mono. It was set to the TRS connection, which means the repeats were coming out of the other output. So do make sure if you're only using these in the regular way, they're set to the mono on the back, or you might think the pedal's broken. Anyway, I love the look of this one. Delay is very important to me. Again, there's many ways to use a delay pedal. Delay is also a pedal where I usually have to have a 2-button foot switch, but they have found a clever way around that with this one, which I'll show you in a second. But first of all, as before, let's go through the 3 different delay types. Here we go. It's very easy to see the differences. The differences are very obvious on this pedal, and they've done a great job of those sounds again. You've got your analog delay, your tape, and your digital. I like digital because digital tends to be just that sound repeated, fading off into the distance. Tape and analog have got that warmer, more distorted breakup sound. It's a cool effect, but I like digital. Level, again, how loud the repeats are, how loud the delays are. Delay time, you set the time there with the knob, and how many repeats, how long does it last? So very similar to the reverb. Let me give you a quick demo of that. So a very long delay time, and then a very short kind of slap back sound. So I do like the slapback effect. It's very important for country and Johnny Cash covers. But having said that, I like to use this when I'm taking a solo, for example. But it's also important for me that that delay time is accurate. I want the delays to be in time with the tempo of the song. So you'd have to turn this delay knob to find that. Now that's fine, and that's how most analog delay pedals work. With a digital delay pedal, you often have what we call a tap tempo. When I first saw this pedal, I was disappointed it didn't have a tap tempo. But actually, if you hold down the button, this is really clever. It taps, look, you just simply hold down the button to enter tap tempo mode, and then tap along and it will enable that speed. And you notice there it's still off. So I'm actually doing that when it's turned off. So what you would do is start your song and then hold that down while you're playing the intro to the song and tap the tempo. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, nothing is coming out. And then when you get to your solo, press the button. Awesome. That is so well done. Great job, Fishman. I think that's fantastic. Once you turn the pedal on, you can also then hold down as you're playing and tap as well. And it will be making the changes in real time. You'll hear the changes. But I love the fact that you can do it from this off position silently and then come in when you turn it on. That's so clever, and all single button delay pedals should have that. Now again, a 2 button means you haven't got to hold it down. You can tap immediately, and that can be useful. But like I said about every other pedal here, these are mini pedals. That's the whole point of these, and the fact they've got that workaround is fantastic. So I really, really like this one. I think they did a great job. And when you combine the reverb with this, you can get some really nice sounds that really make you sound a lot bigger than you are. All right, let's move on to the next one. The Acoustic. Larry Fishman himself was on an interview with me a long time ago, and he first mentioned these pedals on my channel. And I was really excited to see this, and this one finally came out. This is a compressor, and I love the compressor on the Fishman Aura pedal. The reason I love it is it's a 1-knob compressor. Now this does have 2 knobs, which you might prefer. I prefer 1 myself, but it's still very simple and sounds very good. Compression can be amazing, but people can mess up compression, including myself. This pedal just works in a very easy way. So it's another effect that I personally would leave on all the time. Again, you can use it as a volume boost, but I want to just compress the signal the whole time. This will make the loud parts a bit quieter, the quiet parts a bit louder, and just even out your sound and make it sound more kind of produced. And should feel fatter and sustain longer too, which is a good thing. So you turn it on, and I would do the same thing. Set your unity level. And that may change as we turn the compression knob, but that's basically the same, right? So now if I turn it off and play soft to loud, you really hear a difference in the dynamics. With the pedal on at 50%, it's starting to squash it. And if you bring it up all the way, it's very squashed. This is pretty subtle though. On some compressors, that will sound really squashed and really artificial. I like this one because it's a bit more subtle. It's hard to make this one sound bad. And again, for acoustic players that don't really want to get into the depths of programming effects and things like that, this is a good thing in my opinion. So if you just put everything about 50% and strum, you'll just get a nice evenness to the tone. Let me show you how it sounds with it on and how it sounds with it off. So you can see it lighting up there as it kicks in. And with the compression up at around 3 o'clock, it was too much. So you can still get artificial if you want to. I feel where it is right now, it's the same volume with it off as it is with it on, but the compression is just kicking in and evening out those loud strums. Now, of course, I'm overemphasizing it. You don't want to play like that at a gig. You want to try and get it so your strumming is even. You don't want to rely on these effects to make your playing cleaner. You just want to use them to add the icing on the cake. That's what this would do, and I would leave this on all the time. I think this is a great pedal. And again, I just love the way Fishman do their compressors. If you're new to compression, you should definitely check this one out. And that's all I've got to say about it, really. That's what it does. The great thing with acoustic effects like this is they are subtle, but they just add that thing that you can't quite put your finger on it. It just makes everything a bit better. And that's really what acoustic effects should do, at least with what we're doing today. There are instances where you want to make things more dramatic for dramatic effects, but just to make your acoustic show even more pro, this is the way to go about it, in my opinion. All right, let's check out the next one. Okay, this is the Blue Chorus. Now, I've reviewed chorus pedals before in the past, and I've said I'm not the biggest fan, and that still rings true, which is why I left this one towards the end of the video. But I do know there are many chorus fans out there, and there's also a way to make chorus pedals for acoustic that, again, are subtle and tasteful. So let's see what this one sounds like. I'll do the same thing again. I'll run through each mode and then dial it in. We've got depth, so how deep that sound goes, the tone, how bright the effect is. Again, not the tone of the guitar, the tone of the effect, and the rate of the effect as well. So I'll mute the mic and let's go through each mode. So many players do that. They try to emulate a 12-string sound, which kind of works, I do admit. And some players will want to use this for a lead line with a very fast rate and a very obvious sound like this. There's many famous songs that start like that. So it's a good effect. Like, I don't hate chorus at all. I'm very much tongue-in-cheek with that. But I just don't find myself reaching for chorus very often. But I know there's a lot of players that do. And if you want to just bring it on, well, it's the same with the other effects, actually. You can run this in a very subtle way to make your guitar just shimmer a little bit if you like that sound, and just give it a bit more of a 3D kind of feel and sound if you're careful with it. Or you can really crank it up like I have here for those kind of lead sounds. So I do think it's useful, and I do think it's cool in that it breaks up the, dare I say, monotony sometimes of acoustic guitar. You can get a very samey sound for 3 hours at a gig, right? That's just the nature of the beast. With the electric guitar, we have clean, crunch, dirty, heavy metal sounds, blah, blah, blah. With acoustic, we tend to have one tone. So the fact you can bring this on a few times during the night will just make people's ears open up. It will just make people take notice. Oh, what's that sound? It changed. That's why an effect like this is useful. That's the Blue Chorus. Again, I'm very impressed. They did a great job. It's not overpowering my tone. It's not ruining the sound of my acoustic guitar's tone. And it's a very usable chorus for acoustic, which again, you can also use for electric if you want to make a board that does both. All right, moving on. Okay, I've saved this one for last. This is possibly the most interesting and also the hardest to explain. And this will lead me into the end of the video where I talk about the routing options you have for all of these pedals. This one is really the most useful for that because this is a blender pedal. So what that means is you have an input here, which you would use a TRS connection. So the pickup I'm using actually can split the signal of each pickup. There's a microphone and the sound hole pickup, magnetic pickup. If you use a TRS cable with this particular Fishman pickup, and a lot of Fishman pickups work like this, you can plug the TRS into here, and then what you get is the ability to mix these on the pedal. Now you can mix these on this pickup. Some pickups don't let you do that, some do, but you can then mix it here like a little mini mixer and mix the two signals of the pickup system. That is really useful. If you have a dual source pickup that allows you to use a TRS cable, this is really useful, and it gives you several different ways to use it. As you can see, there's a way to mute and have A and B together. There's a way to have A and B. Read the user guide for this because I could be here for a long time explaining all this, but basically if you have a dual source pickup, this will be a great way to mix it on the pedal board rather than in the guitar itself. Now I know you're going to say, well, I don't have a dual source pickup. I have a Fishman Matrix or similar. Okay, fine. You can still use it though, because you can use it as a clean boost. If you do have some good different pickup systems and you have one that would benefit from this, there's nothing out there on the market quite like this. So I would definitely check it out for that reason. And if you have other guitars that only have a single source, you can still use it on the pedal board because you can boost the volume. Check this out. I thought I'd leave this one to the end. This is the most specialized pedal, if you like, but it really lets me talk about the final features of these pedals that I want to finish with, which is the routing options on the back. So you need what we call a TRS cable, which is tip ring sleeve, and Fishman actually make these. You can buy these from multiple companies and brands, but Fishman do have their own ones, their brand, because they're for acoustic, of course. I gotta say, I like the fact the pedals are metal and silver and don't just have all the wooden looks that many acoustic pedals have, but they have gone for that with the cables, which is fair enough. Like I said, you don't have to use these Fishman cables. This is a pack of 3 and they look very high quality, and I will link to these below as well. They look very nice and they're a good length for a patch cable, but you can use any cable like this. It's not just this cable. Basically, if you connect with this cable, then you can access those functions on the back of the pedal with the tip ring sleeve. The easiest way to explain this is to show you a graphic from the Fishman website. So as you can see here with the blender pedal, you could mix between the 2 levels of the 2 pickups in the guitar and blend them together and have them separate altogether. And you can also bring in the different effects for like 2 scenes. So using the tip and ring, you can create effectively 2 scenes between the pedals. So that's why I left this one till the end. But this graphic on the Fishman website really explains things well of how to use this. As you can see, using the TRS cables, you could have the EQ and the reverb on the ring and only reverb on the tip. So the ring could be one pickup in the guitar if you've got a dual source pickup, and the tip could be the other one. For example, here, the magnetic pickup has the reverb only, but the body tap sensor, or in my case, the microphone, would have the EQ and the reverb. This is pretty specialized. I don't think a lot of people are going to use this. I think most people will set these to mono and just use them straight in. But because they made the blender pedal, that's why this is so useful. With that blender pedal and the TRS cables and the dual source pickup, you can really make some interesting routing configurations. A lot of people do this stuff in multi-effect digital pedals already, but you couldn't really do it with pedals until now. So this is a really nice middle ground, and it's really nice that they've included this option, especially at this price. But if you find this confusing and intimidating, just don't use it. You don't need to get the blender one. If you have a single source pickup like a Fishman Matrix or similar, just run into your EQ, your reverb, your delay, shape your tone that way, go straight into your acoustic amp or PA system. If you have a dual source pickup, then experiment with these more complicated routings, and you'll probably find some really great, interesting sounds. Okay, I hope you found that interesting and fun. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope I gave you some ideas of how to use effects with your acoustic guitar. And also, if you want to check out these pedals that I used today, do check out the links below. Thank you to Fishman, and I do hope they make more of these pedals as well. I'd love to see some other effects, like maybe an IR loader and maybe a tuner, I'm not sure. But like I said, the great thing is you can mix and match these with other pedals from other brands as well. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. Oh, and do let me know, are there any effects that you use for your acoustic guitar that I missed today? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye-bye.